And welcome to today's session. Today, I would like us to look at the scoring guide to KAMSSA Chemistry Paper 1 Mock Assessment. In this session, we shall be looking at all the items to this paper, and those are 6 items. So make sure that you pay much attention until the end, so that we look at all the items in this KAMSSA paper. This is the paper which was done in August 2025 mock assessment, KAMSSA assessment. So today we shall be looking at paper 1, and all the items in this session are going to be all covered in this session. Let's dive to section A, which has compulsory items, and these items are only 2, very compulsory. For those who have not yet subscribed, please make sure you click on that subscription button and click on that notification button, such that whenever we publish any latest tutorial, you're able to receive it as the first person. Let's go through the first item and then keep on pausing. Note down, and make sure that you have all this content in your notebook. Let's go through the item number 1. We're going to be very fast, but covering each and every item in full. Item 1 says, Ngambo usually experiences stomach pain whenever he eats tomato-flavored potato chips. After visiting a doctor, he is told that the pain is caused by an excess of a substance called P in his stomach. The doctor advises him to take product Q, rich in magnesium hydroxide, to relieve the pain. So here we can see some of the things. I want to note them down here. There. Then in the support material, they are showing us the figure for product Q. Here there is a figure for product Q, and they're saying that elements, herbal, and acid. So in simple terms, they're saying that this product Q is an antacid. Something called antacid, which means it's against acid. Now, which means here we are looking at, after visiting the doctor, he is told that the pain is caused by an excess of a substance called P in the stomach. And then we see the doctor is advising him to take product Q, which is rich in magnesium hydroxide. What do you know about magnesium hydroxide? Isn't this an alkali? Yes, it is. Now, look at the task. As a chemistry learner, help Ngambo understand part 1, the category of substance P. So they want Mr. Ngambo to help Mr. Ngambo to understand the category of substance P. So how do you understand the substance they're talking about? We need to read the scenario very well. But there's one thing that we have seen, that after visiting the doctor, he is told that the pain is caused by excess of substance called P in the stomach. But now, the remedy this doctor wants him to take is taking product Q, which is an antacid. In simple terms, what is this excess in the stomach? What do we know in the stomach? In the stomach, let's look at this scoring guide. When we look at the category, the category is here. So when we look at this scoring guide, they are saying that the substance P is hydrochloric acid, a strong acid normally present in gastric juice. Now, these ones I'm putting them for our discussion, but the point which you need is here, because if you call very well, when we are responding to item number 1 and we are categorizing, we just categorize that substance only. We don't need to explain and we give examples. So the answer, this is just an explanation that I wanted us to have. From our scenario, we can see that actually this substance P they are talking about is the hydrochloric acid found in the stomach. And we know that hydrochloric acid is a strong acid which is present in the gastric juice. So when the category of this substance, we can say that substance P is an acidic substance. So that is our category, and you get your answer. So that is the one that we are looking at, because part A, they are saying help Ngambo understand the category of substance P. So the substance P is the hydrochloric acid. Then they are saying help Ngambo understand how substance Q relieves pain. Which substance Q? This is the substance Q we are talking about, the antacid, which is rich in magnesium hydroxide, which means this is an alkali. When you go back to our work in acids and alkalis, when you mix an acid and an alkali, that reaction is the one we normally call the neutralization reaction. And when these two react, they form a salt and water only. So we want us to talk about how does this Q perform its work and then helps to reduce on the pain. So that's what they want us to talk about on part 2. So one thing I've done is to first help us and recall what Q is. Q, they have said it is rich in magnesium hydroxide, meaning it is an alkali. And they want us to explain to Mr. Ngambo how Q relieves the pain. So here we said substance Q neutralizes excess of substance P in the stomach. It neutralizes excess of substance P, but you recall the substance P we are talking about is the acid. The substance Q we are talking about is the alkali. So it neutralizes excess of substance P in the stomach. This reduces acidity, relieving stomach pain. Very good. And I believe you know very well that is the antacid action. So when the acid reacts with the alkali, they form salt and water only. So that is how we could respond to that part 2, explaining how Q relieves the pain. And the Q we are talking about is the alkali. Hope that is very clear. Let's look at the next question. I'll keep on coming to the paper so that we get to know very well. Now, advise Ngambo on long-term use of product Q. I believe now we know what product Q is. Product Q is the alkali, which is consisting of magnesium hydroxide. And when we are advising the long-term use, they want us to talk about the side effect of this product. But after talking about the side effect of this product, we need to advise this person what he can do to prevent that, which means we need even the mitigation. In simple terms, we need to understand the danger, the effect, and the mitigation. That's why I normally call it DEM. Because when you're advising this person about the long-term use of this product, we don't just talk about the side effects and stop there. No. We are looking at a learner who is a problem solver. And now you're with this friend of yours, Ngambo. Now, tell Ngambo, this product Q, if you use it for a very long time, it will bring this one. And this can lead to this. But you can do this to prevent this effect. Let's look at how we can phrase this point. Here I have a very good point that I've given a number of points, 3 of them. I just want to put them there so that you can note them down. Now let me just go through them, and don't forget you're looking at the magnesium hydroxide, which is our product Q, our alkali. What are some of the we want to advise? Don't forget, at this point we need only one point, which is depicting the dam we have talked about, the danger, the effect, and then the mitigation. So that is the one which it should depict. Let's see. Overuse as antacid, we are looking at the product Q, which is an antacid, reduces the stomach acidity too much. You recall it is an antacid. It reacts with acid, which means when it reduces, when you take too much of it, it reduces the acidity too much. That is a danger. After reducing too much, it leads to poor digestion. Are you seeing? That is the effect. Not only that, it also leads to reduced enzyme activity. Okay, that is the effect. This can be mitigated through the use of only when prescribed. So which means use it when they have prescribed for it. Go and take this dose. In simple terms, taking the right prescription or the right dosage. That's why you're saying collect dosage, avoid prolonged self-medication. All those are other points that we can put, but we just need one mitigation. I think 1 point is giving how many points? How many scores? 1, 2, and 3. In simple terms, it is the dam. Are you seeing that? Let me give you another point. When product Q gets into contact with eyes or skin in concentrated slur, it causes irritation. That is the danger. That is the effect. But the danger, when it gets into contact with the skin, it will bring into the irritation, redness, or it brings about burns on prolonged exposure. All these are effects that it can bring about, but you can put the one you recall, one of them. Then this can be mitigated through the use of protective gloves and goggles, or we wash exposed area with plenty of clean water. You can see still we have 3 points. Another point here, they are saying when product Q is released in large quantities, it raises water pH. Danger. When the water pH is raised, it affects the aquatic life effect. But this can be mitigated by neutralizing the waste before disposal or following proper environmental guidelines. So here we need only 1 point, but I've given you how many points? 3 of them for our revision, of course. I don't need to give you only 1 and then you suffer later that you're cramming that. You don't need to cram. You need to understand what are you talking about. Now let's look at the last part. The last part was saying part C, that guide Ngambo to evaluate the 2 substances. Now when they say evaluate, don't forget in evaluation is where we are looking at the comparison, compare and contrast between 2 substances. Now the 2 substances we are talking about, it is substance Q and substance P. And I believe by now we know what Q is and what P is. The Q is the antacid, the P is the acid. So we want to look at the similarities of the acid and alkali and the differences of the acid and alkali. I believe we can. And don't forget, we need only 1 point per item. If it is similarity, we need only 1 similarity. If it is difference, we need only 1 difference. Here I just first told us that the substance Q is the alkali and P is the acid. Now let's look at the similarity. These ones I'm just putting them for our discussion to just remind us ourselves. Don't forget that the question papers I've already shared in our group. If you don't have the question paper, please it is there in the group. You can inbox me and I'll be able to give you the question paper so that you can follow as you do the solutions. But also, if there is anything that is not clear for you, make sure that you ask, such that I'm able to respond to the inquiries and any question that you may be having. So similarities, we are saying that both are electrolytes. The Q and P are electrolytes. What do we mean? They ionize in water to give ions that conduct electricity. I believe you know that an electrolyte is that one which can ionize to form, and those ions it forms can conduct electricity. We had to give even this is for our explanations, of course, in our discussion. Now someone is going to ask, is it a must to write equations? It's not a must if you have already written that statement. But for me, when I'm explaining to you, it's good for me to show you that hydrochloric acid completely ionizes to form hydrogen ions and chloride ions, and these ones can conduct electricity. Magnesium hydroxide completely ionizes to form magnesium ions and hydroxide ions, and they can also conduct electricity. So they are electrolytes. Now both are corrosive in concentrated form. I believe they are all corrosive, therefore they can damage tissues if not handled carefully. Good. Both react in neutralization reactions. Acids and bases combine to form salts and water. I have given 3 points, but we needed only 1. Then we look at the differences. Now differences, I've just summarized them in a table, and according to which feature and substance P, substance Q. Just we are going to do faster. At least you know something about an acid, you know something about the alkali. And we have this topic in senior 2 first topic. So if you want more differences between the two, you can find in that topic. But I believe these ones I've given you at least somehow enough. That in nature, in water, substance P produces high concentration of hydrogen ions, while this one produces hydroxide ions with limited solubility. This one is sour, the acid is sour, while the alkali is bitter. Good. The acid is bitter. Then, on litmus paper, the acid turns blue litmus paper red, while the alkali turns red litmus paper blue. Good. pH. The substance P, which is acid, it has very low pH of 1 to 2, while this one has a higher pH. In the use in the stomach, this acid, it helps in digestion, activates enzymes, and kills microbes, while for it in the stomach, it neutralizes excess stomach acid. That's why in this question we have been looking at it as an antacid, as the remedy to the excess acid in our stomach. I believe you have enjoyed our question number 1. I believe you're moving at a good pace, and make sure you move with me until when we finish the whole paper. All items, we are finishing them in this session. So pay much attention and we move step by step. There are those who are saying we need more questions on more concept. It's good that we have a question here about more concept, and we shall be able to respond to it. Let's look at item number 2. We are moving faster. Item number 2, what is it saying? It says Chimuli likes using gaseous products for cooking. One day, as he was cooking, the gas burner went off and couldn't light again. Okay. The gas burner went off and couldn't light again. His friend told him the gas was finished and advised him to go for a refill. and Chimoli didn't believe it. You have been contacted for help. Task: as a learner of chemistry, explain the category of product used. The properties of the product that make it useful in daily life. Now, such a question. How do you deal with such a question? Where do you get this category of the product that is being used? I know most of us we have different responses to this, but I believe we don't have very many responses because this question is specific to gaseous products used for cooking. You are using this? He uses using gaseous products for cooking. Now, you see that when he was cooking, a gas burner went off. It went off and couldn't light again. So the friend told him the gas was finished and advised him. So in simple terms, which gas do we normally use? Or which gas is commonly used? There are some learners who are talking about oxygen. But now, do we use, yes, oxygen can be put in cylinders. But do we normally use oxygen for cooking? I know we use it for in welding. We can use those oxygen cylinders for in welding. But is it the one we use for cooking our food? For those who are using gas at home, which gas is present? Which gaseous product is present in that? I believe very well that we know that the gaseous products we are using for cooking, whether it is biogas, whether it is what, maybe you have your gas and they have refilled it with biogas. You have a biogas plant and you go there for refilling your gas. I believe it is still possible. But which gas is present in biogas? Did you know that the biggest percentage of biogas is methane? Okay, hope you know that. If you didn't know, you have known. But also, did you know that the biggest percentage of natural gas are the first hydrocarbons of alkanes? Did you know that? We have maybe, we have the methane, we have the propane, the butane, those first four carbon atoms, carbon compounds of alkanes. So in simple terms, a learner who says that this category we are talking about, let's look at this, that the category we are talking about is here. Before we look at this response, these statements I'm just putting them for our discussion here. That the product is maybe, here we are just looking at liquefied petroleum gas, mainly propane and butane. But when we look at propane and butane, all these are hydrocarbons. All these are hydrocarbons. So, majorly, these are the ones we normally use. But also, it could be the methane. But one thing I know is that majorly, this could be a hydrocarbon fuel. So, that's why we said, but you recall that in this case, when you're categorizing, we use the CRE. The CRE. Where you're looking at C as the category, and the R as the reason, and E the example. So my response could be, the product used is a hydrocarbon fuel. Now this one becomes a category. I know we are going to have questions. What if I could say it is an alkane? But an alkane from where to where? Yes, it can be alkane, but from maybe from carbon 1 to carbon 4, because you know that is where we have the natural gas. So and hydrocarbon, and we know that the hydrocarbon, they are made up of only hydrogen and the oxygen atoms only. And examples we have put for us, the propane, the butane. So this is our example. Then this is our category, and we have our reason. So we have the reason, we have the category, we have the example. But in your comment, in the comment section, let me look at other responses that you're having on this category of the product. There are those who may be specific and say it is natural gas. Yeah, instead of saying it is a hydrocarbon, because under hydrocarbons we have alkanes, we have alkenes, we have alkynes. But majorly this one we are looking at, these are the alkanes. These are alkanes. And when we look at the properties we are looking at, they are these alkanes of lower carbon atoms, from carbon 1 to carbon 4. So we shall look at that on part 2 as we look at properties of the product. Part 2 is saying, as a chemistry student, help to identify the properties of the product that make it useful in daily life. So the product, we have seen it is a hydrocarbon, but under these alkanes, and these alkanes of natural gas, which are moving from carbon 1 to carbon what? To carbon 4. To carbon 4. Please make sure that we are very clear on that, so that we don't have issues of asking other questions. What if it is, you have said hydrocarbon, which is an alkane of carbon 1 to carbon 4. For you can be specific. And your reasons, you can put your reason why you're calling it, because it is saturated, which means you can have saturated. Here you can put saturated, but don't forget that though saturated, we have the alkanes which are of higher carbon atoms. They are saturated, but they are in a solid form. Yet this man, for him, he was using what? The gaseous products, which can be even the natural gas. And this natural gas, they move from carbon 1 to carbon 4. So there are those who are having natural gases, natural gas, because natural gas, the carbon 1 to carbon, natural gas. Let me just put that, natural gas, because the carbon 1 to carbon 4, all those are under the natural gas. So we can see how we can phrase that. Let me see your points that you're having down there in the comment section, and then we can keep on the discussion. So properties of the product that make it useful in our daily life. Number 1, the product releases a lot of heat. Are you seeing that? When burned, which helps it to cook food quickly or power heating system effectively. Number 2, you say that on these properties we give at least 4. At least 4 means 4 and above. And here I'm just trying to give more elaborated answers, but for you can give, you can summarize them. So you are saying it can easily vaporize, volatility, easily vaporize under normal conditions, which help it to mix with air for smooth ignition in stoves and gas heaters. Okay, it is highly flammable. That is another property which helps it to provide instant and strong flames for domestic and industrial use. It burns cleanly. That is another property, producing mainly carbon dioxide and water, which helps reduce soot and smoke in kitchens and factories. It is compressed and stored in cylinders, So if it is easily compressed and stored in cylinders, this helps it to be transported safely to homes, hotels, and industries, even in remote areas. Its frames can be adjusted, which helps to control amount. Its frames, its frames can easily be adjusted. I believe you know very well. It can easily be adjusted, increase or reduce, and this helps to control the amount of heat for different tasks. So I believe those points are more than enough. Now let us look at this part B. The question is already here, but of course when you go to our question here, it is still the same. Part B, that's a question about the mole concept. So I just copied this question, I pasted it here so that we can be able to respond to it very well as we are seeing. So part B is saying that if the product used contains 73.4% carbon and the rest being hydrogen, help Chimoli know the formula showing the exact. This statement disturbs very many people. The exact number. Now, when you talk about exact number, we are meaning the molecular formula. Because if you talk about empirical formula is the simplest ratio of the atoms present. But now here they want us the actual number of atoms present in the molecule. Therefore, they want us to talk about the molecular formula. So, the exact number of each type of atom in a molecule of the product, if its molecular mass, they have given us some things. They have given us the molecular mass of the molecule. I think now we can move on faster. So from there, since we already have the percentage of carbon, we can look at the percentage composition of hydrogen by getting 100 minus 73.4, and then we're able to get 26.6%. So after getting the percentage composition of hydrogen, then we can use our formula of determining the empirical formula first. And we know that getting empirical formula, we use only 4 steps. The first step is writing the elements present in the compound. So we have seen from the question, from the scenario here, this short scenario, that the product contains carbon and the rest being hydrogen, which means it consists of carbon and hydrogen. Then after that, we write the symbol of these elements. Carbon is C and hydrogen is H. There you get your 1 mark. The second stage is to write the percentage composition. It can be in percentage or it can be by mass. But here it is percentage composition of carbon. We write it down below the symbol. So below the symbol of carbon, we put our percentage composition, which is 73.4. There are some people who normally write again percentage here. No, we already have it on the other side. So there's no need of writing percentage here, composition, and then you also come here and say percent. So you just put here 73.4, and then hydrogen, it is 26.6. Then after that, you look for the number of moles. We're using the other formula. The number of moles are equal to the given mass over the molar mass. So the given mass of carbon is 73.4 percentage composition by mass over the molar mass of carbon, which is 12. Where do you get this 12? It is given on the periodic table. So over 12, when you do that, you get 6.1167. Please make sure you always put 4 decimal places. We need 4 decimal places. Then we do the same on hydrogen. The given mass 26.6 divided by molar mass of hydrogen, which is 1, and then we still get 26.6. Now, after getting the number of moles, then we determine the simplest ratio. Now, when you're looking at the simplest ratio, we have a ratio for the number of moles of carbon and we have a number of moles of hydrogen. So for us to get the simplest ratio, we divide by the smallest number of moles. Here we have 6.1167 and 26.6. Which one is small? I believe we see that this is small. So we divide by this number of moles by all sides. So here we say 6.1167 divided by 6.117. You get 1. And you do the same. 26.6 over the smallest number of moles, which is you get 4.3487, which is approximately to 4. Okay. Finally, the ratio of atoms. So the ratio of atoms, you of course summarize. So here we have carbon, you have 1 atom. Hydrogen, we have 4 atoms of hydrogen. And finally, we are able to get the empirical formula. How do you write empirical formula? You come on the table, look at the symbol you had, carbon, which is C. Here we had carbon, which is C. And it has its ratio, it is 1. Then we have hydrogen, its symbol is H. And then how many atoms? It is 4. And that's why we are seeing that we have CH4. We are just getting it from our table, comparing our symbol here and that simple number of the ratio of atoms. So which means we have carbon 1 atom and then 4 atoms of hydrogen. But is this the answer they wanted? No. They wanted the actual number of atoms present, and therefore we need to get the molecular formula. This is called empirical formula, the simplest ratio of atoms. The empirical formula is a formula which shows the simplest ratio of atoms present in the molecule. So let's look at molecular formula. We said molecular formula can be gotten by empirical formula times N. And for us to get N, let me first show us here. Value of N is equal to the molecular mass over empirical formula mass. So we already have empirical formula, CH4. So you can get the empirical formula mass of this by getting 1, which is the number of carbon atoms, which is 1, times its molar mass, which is 12, plus 4, these are number of hydrogen atoms, which are 4, times the molar mass of hydrogen, which is 1. And then when you get 12 plus 4, you will be able to get 16. This is our formula. So that is empirical formula mass. Now molecular mass, you recall we already have it in our scenario here. They gave us molecular mass of 16. So since we already have the molecular mass of 16 and we have our empirical formula mass 16, so it will be 16 over 16 and we get our value of 1. So we come and substitute. You recall we say that molecular formula is equal to empirical formula times N. So you come and substitute. Molecular formula will be empirical formula times N, which is 1. So 1 will affect every element here, and then we end up with this. Now, one learner was saying, now teacher, we see the molecular formula is the same as empirical formula. Why do we need to look for it? My friend, if you don't look for it, you get your 0. Because what if it was not the same? Which means you're going to get it wrong. So do it and then you'll be able to get your final answer very well. Otherwise, if you don't do it very well, you'll get your answer wrong. So do it very well and do what is required. So that's how we have managed to complete that part B by, even if it is 1, make sure you go ahead, look for that 1, substitute it and get the same formula. No problem. So our compound was methane. compound was methane. So in the question, they didn't say impacts of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Instead, they came here on part C. Explain the impact of the product in the environment. Now, the impact of the product we are talking about is what? If the product contains, so the product they're talking about is the methane, not carbon dioxide. The product we're talking about is the methane. Now, the impact of methane on the atmosphere. The reason why we are looking at carbon dioxide is that when we burn the methane in atmosphere, it produces carbon dioxide. So this carbon dioxide is the one which will bring about all these effects that I have written down. So make sure that you know how to phrase your point, not impact of carbon dioxide on the atmosphere. I have done this for us to see it very clearly, that the product we are talking about, impact of the product on the environment. The product we're talking about is this substance that we have been able to get, the methane gas. But you know that when methane reacts in air, and of course you know we are using this gas for cooking, which means we're reacting it in air and then producing carbon dioxide. So this carbon dioxide, we're saying it traps heat in the atmosphere, causing global warming. And when global warming is there, it leads to drought. And this can be mitigated by planting the trees which can absorb, or using renewable energies instead of the fossil fuels. Of course, methane comes from these natural gases. They come from these fossil fuels. So that is the mitigation. So we can still see here we need only 1 point, and you can still see that we are using our DEM. The danger, global warming, which bring about the drought, and finally we can mitigate it by planting trees to absorb the carbon dioxide. Then we have another point that it dissolves in water to form carbonic acid, which lowers the pH, leading to destruction. This can be mitigated by reducing emission and by using cleaner source of fuel like electricity. So you can see that even there we can, but we need only 1 point, very well explained. I normally call those points the pregnant point. It is a pregnant point. Did you know that section A is done? And for those who are still watching and you have not yet subscribed, please make sure that you subscribe, and as we keep on enjoying the beauty of chemistry. Subscribe, like, and share with friends. Sharing is a key. Make sure that you don't keep this to yourself. Share with your friend, and your friend also gets something to learn from whatever that we do discuss. There are most of people have been asking, discuss for us manufacture of iron, the industrial process about iron. Today, iron is part of our discussion, so make sure that you pay much attention as you look at how iron is extracted from its raw materials. Let's first look at the scenario of section B, part 1. Don't forget that section B, part 1 is about the industrial processes. And these industrial processes, they have a format that we use in responding to these. Now, today I'm not going to take you through the format because in the previous facilitation, which we have on our channel, we talked about the format. So for those who have not yet gone through the format of responding to these items, please make sure you have time and go through that facilitation, both for paper 1 and for paper 2. They are all there, full sessions, which I believe they will be of great importance for you when you when you go through it. Now let's look at this item number 3 faster. In this part 2, part 1, section B, you choose only one item. But of course, for us today, we are discussing and we can't do only one item. So we're going to do all the items. And then for you, if it was you in the paper, then you know which one you could do, as you could choose. Selection also is very important. Let's go through this scenario very fast. So the scenario says, there is a high demand for iron and steel products in a community for construction and manufacturing. The leaders have contacted an investor to set up an iron extraction and processing plant to take advantage of this opportunity. However, the residents do not understand how iron is extracted, from the ore, the benefits of the project, and possible environmental effects. So, they are resisting the project. As a senior 4 candidate with knowledge of chemistry, you are required to create awareness among the community members. Task: write a presentation you will use upon meeting them. Now, when you read through this scenario, we see that what they want us to do is to talk about iron extraction. And what do they want us to present in our presentation? How iron is extracted, its benefits, and then its effects, its environmental effects. Of course, when you talk about effects, in this case, we don't forget about the mitigation. Let's go through this very fast. Manufacture of iron. So when you're looking at manufacture of iron, the first thing we think about is the raw materials. What raw materials do we need? What raw materials do we need to manufacture iron? So the raw material, we have the major iron ore, the hematite. Can use limestone and also so those are the raw materials that we need. The iron ore, hematite, we need the coke, we need the limestone and air. Then after that, we go to the process of production. In process of production, we make sure that you include the raw materials, include the vessels. Now the vessels are the apparatus, the things that we're going to be using during our production process. Then we have the conversion to the desired product. We have the chemical process, the physical process. Now, let's look at the process of production. Iron is extracted from its ore using blast furnace. Okay. The hematite, coke, and limestone are mixed together. Of course, this is a chemical process. There is a mark. Are mixed together and introduced into the blast furnace. This is a vessel. There is a mark. From the top up, where hot air is forced. Okay. As the hot air rises up the furnace, it reacts with the coke. Don't forget the coke is the carbon, to form carbon dioxide. Even this one is a chemical process. And we have put even the equation. Please, there are some people were asking, is it a must for us to write symbolic equations? If you can, write them down, because those are the things that will make you an excellent learner. But also, if you don't know, use the word equation. I believe for word equation you know. But also, if you look at these statements you are putting down, they are already explaining the word equation. Though you can still write it down as the word equation if the symbolic is disturbing you. So don't hang yourself because you don't know the symbolic. Okay. So after that, we have, as the carbon dioxide formed rises up the furnace, it is reduced by the unburnt coke. So that is another chemical process. Carbon dioxide reacts with this unburnt coke carbon to form carbon monoxide. Then carbon monoxide, the carbon monoxide then reduces the hematite to molten iron. Then the molten iron sinks to the bottom of the furnace where it is tapped. This is T, where it is tapped off. Then the limestone decomposes into calcium oxide, which reacts with the sand, a major impurity in hematite, to form slag, which drops to the bottom of the furnace and floats on the top of molten iron. Molten iron, we have those equations which you can put, or you can write a word equation. Then the iron obtained is impure and can be purified by converting it into wrought iron by oxidizing the impurities. So we have another score for purification process. We want to get our product which is very pure. So at that stage, you are done with the production process of iron. Then side effects. In side effects, we look at still the danger, the effect, and the mitigation. Still, we are looking at them. So during extraction process, there is emission of poisonous gases, that is the danger, which leads to air pollution and hence illness or death. So this can be mitigated by treatment of these gases before emission to the atmosphere. 3 points. Another one, the unreacted carbon dioxide can escape. It can escape, that is a danger, leading to global warming. This can be mitigated by recycling. You can use this carbon dioxide for other purpose. Another point, emission of heat from the furnace. There is emission of heat from the furnace, that is the danger, causing rise in temperatures of the surrounding environment, which affects the people. This can be mitigated by installing heat absorbers around the furnace. So you can see every point has at least 3 scores. So you can be able to get all the 3 scores at once. Then finally, we look at the social benefits. Please don't forget, when you're looking at side effects, we look at side effects of the production process. And even when you're looking at the social benefits, we're looking at social benefits of the production process, not the social benefits of iron. So the social benefits of extraction of iron, the process of extraction of iron, we are saying there is source of employment opportunities in the factory, hence improved income, and therefore better standards of living. 3 scores. Another point, but we need only 1, of course, but for the purpose of our discussion. There is increased government revenue through what? Through taxes. Hence improvement in the infrastructures, and when they are improved, leading to the development of the society. You think that? Then there is provision of market for local goods to the community members, hence generating income, leading to better lives. So you can see even there, you get all your 3 scores. So there are 3 things: the social benefits, the side effects, the production process, and the raw materials. And it is the same case for even item number 4. We shall follow the same procedure. Let's go through item number 4 very fast. Item number 4, it says, Tadeo runs a laundry workshop. Tadeo runs a laundry workshop in Owino Market, Kampala. But he is unhappy because he earns little profit from selling soap. He now wants to start his own soap making business to increase his profits and have enough soap for his shop. However, he does not know how soap is made. That is number one. He doesn't know how soap is made. Doesn't know how soap is made, comma, the possible challenges that he might face, and the benefits. As a chemistry learner, make a write-up to guide Tadeo. I believe this is a very good point. Here, they just want us to talk about how soap is made. For those who have not yet watched our videos on how soap is made, we have done soap practically. And today, as I take you through how soap is made, I want us also look at this. When you go on your phone, you go on Google. When you go on Google, you go on YouTube. You write YouTube. When you go on YouTube, you can just search that work about making soap. Making bar soap by Nyirimbibi. When you put by Nyirimbibi Isaac, it will come very fast. So we have making bar soap by Nyirimbibi. We have that video, and we have other videos. So instead of going very far, when you click here, we have very many videos about how soap is made. So have time, and you go on YouTube, you go on our channel, still on the channel where we are looking at, where we are seeing all this. You find there the practical way how we can make this bar soap, and make your bar soap from wherever you are. You're at school, you're at home, you can do all this from your home. So just this is on the channel. When you get time, make sure that you go there and you look at how to make it practically. So the procedures I'm going to give you are the same procedures that we can use when we are making our bar soap practically. That's why we are saying that we have two methods. One which is made from vegetable oils, another one made from animal fat. So you can make bar soap from vegetable oil, you can make bar soap from the animal fat. And there are two things. It is the oil or fats and sodium hydroxide, or the lye. So those are the raw materials, the major ones: the vegetable oil and concentrated sodium hydroxide, or the animal fat and concentrated sodium hydroxide. So you can see the very big difference is this is vegetable oil, this is the animal fat. So we're going to see, when we are doing the one for vegetable oil, how can we do it? When we are doing the one for animal fat, how can we do? You can do this practically wherever you are, when you have access to these materials. Now, this concentrated sodium chloride, this is common salt. This one, we use it as a hardener. When you add it in your soap, it helps in hardening and helps in setting of this soap very fast. But of course, you don't need to put too much, because when you put too much, it will also it has effects on your skin. So process of production. Vegetable oil is mixed with concentrated sodium hydroxide solution. So this is a chemical process. They are mixed. Or potassium hydroxide. Sometimes we use potassium hydroxide solution in a non-aluminum tank or pan or container, and the mixture boiled while stirring until no further change occurs. Okay. Concentrated sodium chloride is added into the mixer to precipitate out soap from the solution. Then the soap is skimmed off, washed, and dried. So that is a simple process of making soap using the vegetable oil. Then there is this one, which I believe I normally use. because I have access to animal fats around where I am, I can make my bar soap from animal fats. Any animal that you have access to, whether cow, goat, what, you can use that fat. So I'm saying that animal fat is melted. It is melted on the source of heat and allowed to cool down up to 40 degrees Celsius. A known amount of sodium hydroxide is dissolved in water and also allowed to cool. You know that sodium hydroxide is when you dissolve it in water, it releases heat, so it is ectothermic, undergoes ectothermic reaction. So when it releases heat, it can raise heat even up to 80 degrees Celsius, even 90 degrees Celsius. So you have to keep it, and it first cools down, at least up to 40. At 40, we believe it has cooled enough and can not cause some other reactions. If you use it when it is hot, you will see. If you want an experiment, try it out. You will see the experiment. They will react, and then they can even burn your cloth or your clothes. Then we are saying that the sodium hydroxide solution is added to the cooled oil while stirring gently to prevent the air bubbles in the soap. When the porridge-like or gel-like mixture is formed, the additives are added, e.g. sodium chloride, color, and perfume, etc. Then the final mixture is then poured into the soap molds and kept for 24 hours, and then the soap is packaged for use. So that is our product. We have gotten our product. So if you want the practical part, go on the YouTube channel, type there Nyirimbibi Isaac, look for the one which is for soap. There is a one which even shows you how to calculate the good calculation, how much oil do you use, how much sodium hydroxide you use, the sodium chloride you use. All those calculations are there on the channel, and you can be able to make your own soap. So here they're saying soap production can result into some side effects, which include accidental spills or leaks of raw materials, which can lead to soil infertility, thus poor plant growth. This can be mitigated by use of proper storage and handling procedures. I believe this point is a very good one. There are some people who cram and then they want to use catalytic converters. You can mitigate this using catalytic converters. Now, catalytic converters on making bar soap, no. So we have to make sure that we don't cram. Instead, we understand. We need only one point. Then the production process has some social benefits, which include employment opportunity to people around, resulting in improved income, hence better standards of living. I believe it was a very good part, especially as we look at manufacture of bar soap and as we look at manufacture of iron. Let's look at the last part. As I said, I will not be taking you through other what we need to do, what all those were discussed in our facilitation. Instead, today we are reading, analyze the question, find out what do they want, and respond immediately. So let's go through this one. Let me hope we can read it together. Oh, I want the whole question to be seen there. Can we see it? So here's the saying, Luwelo, one of the most sparsely populated districts in Uganda, is well known for being a charcoal production hub. Okay. Most of the youth in Luwelo are engaged in cutting down trees. Oh my God. And burning wood to make charcoal, as shown in figure 2 below. However, the residents are now frustrated by toxic fumes released during the process. The concerned local leaders and environmental activists are planning to create awareness among the people of Luwelo and neighboring districts through sensitization workshops. There is a support material. And the support material, you see trees being cut, people packing charcoal. So you can see charcoal burning and cutting down of trees. You have been approached to guide the organizers on what to present. Task: as a learner of chemistry, prepare a write-up that can be used during the workshop. Don't forget that in this case, we are looking at what we call the natural resources. In this part, we look at the natural resources. What do we look at in natural resource? Number one, we identify the natural resource that is being affected. Natural resource being affected. Number two, we look at the composition. Okay, before we look at that, we categorize it, we give the reason, we give the example, of course, which you have already given up there. Then we give even the composition. That is our first paragraph. So first paragraph should have all of those. Then the second paragraph should be talking about the human activity. Which human activity is affecting our natural resource or that is affecting our environment? Explain how it affects. Tell us its effects or impacts. Then tell us its how we can mitigate that. The mitigation. After that, the third paragraph we need to talk about. In the third paragraph, then we need to talk about the importance of conserving the natural resource. NL is representing the natural resource. Those are the three paragraphs. Now, before we go any further in this question, are you able to identify the natural resource being affected? Which natural resource? They are making charcoal. Where do they get the raw material for charcoal? Is trees. Trees are being cut down. So the natural resource being affected, there are trees. Are we there? Now, which means we're going to talk about trees, their composition, their category, reasons, etc. That will be our first paragraph. Then number two, the second paragraph, which human activity? We can see that human activity is cutting down trees, which later brings about a charcoal burning. Are you seeing that? So what are we saying? In this case, the human activity is charcoal burning or cutting down trees. Tell us how, its effects or its impact, and also will give us the mitigation. Then finally, importance of conserving the trees, so which means will give us the importance of the trees. And the same knowledge we use on part 5 will be the same knowledge on part 6. So in this case here, we are saying, I just want us to answer this at once. So the natural resource, we are saying they are trees. Then the human activity, we are saying the human activity is cutting down trees and charcoal burning. Charcoal burning. Let me hope we can see this. If you can't see, then I'll bring it down here. So they are here. So these are the things that you're going to be talking about in this. Those are the ones we're going to be talking about on this scenario. And we shall be able to generate the 3 paragraphs. Now, let's also look at item 6 is disorganized. Let's first talk about this item, and then we go to item 6 and we call it a paper. So we have already looked at that question. So these are my 3 paragraphs, just summarized. So our natural resource we have talked about is trees. Hope it is clear. We are able to see that. Trees are what? They are renewable natural resource. Are you seeing that? Because they can regrow through replanting reason. They are composed of mainly cellulose, lignin, water, mineral salts, and on burning in limited oxygen, they yield the charcoal, which is largely what? Carbon composition. Isn't that paragraph done? It is done. We go to the second paragraph where we're talking about the human activity, its effect, its impact, and then mitigation. So on the one human activity threatening this resource in well is cutting and burning of trees to make charcoal. I believe that is a major human activity. For identifying it, we give you a score. So the traditional method of charcoal burning releases toxic gases such as carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and methane, which pollute the air. They pollute the air, that is the danger, and cause respiratory diseases. Are you seeing that? This impact can be mitigated through tree replanting. Whatever you cut, you replant. And enforcement of environmental laws by agencies such as NEMA and local councils. Good. Are you seeing that point? Very good one. So here when you give such a point, such a paragraph, even an examiner will give you scores very well. So the last paragraph is said importance of conserving. So trees, however, remain very important. They provide oxygen through photosynthesis, which sustains life and helps regulate carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. Are you seeing that? And you get all your 3 scores on that. So at the end of it all, when you give such 3 paragraphs on this number, you're able to get all your scores on that number. So that is done. Let's go. We do the same to item 6. I just want us to read it very fast. A 2-day student workshop has been organized at Dreamland Hotel in Arua to discuss key issues related to environmental conservation. On day 1, the program includes a key statement to be addressed. Today's society, in view of modernization, has neglected the mother nature of logs, which has ultimately caused us unhealth. This needs urgent solutions. You have been invited to give a presentation on this. So that says, today's society, in view of modernization, has neglected the mother nature of logs, which has ultimately caused us unhealth. This needs urgent solution. So that is our theme. And when you look at this picture, please always look at the picture. When you look at the picture, you see what is happening. Someone is holding a very big hammer and is hitting the what? Is hitting the stones, the logs, breaking them into smaller pieces. So, task: as a learner of chemistry, prepare write-up of the speech you would deliver at the workshop. So which natural resource is being affected? I believe you can see. We have logs which are being affected. But in the process of extraction of logs, even air can be affected. We can affect our water, especially when it rains and takes away those particles into the water bodies. So we can be able to get the human activity is stone quarrying or mining. And then the natural resource are the logs. So can we generate our 3 paragraphs faster and you call it a paper? Okay, now that you're there, let us wind up with that. Item 6. Item 6 is saying, first paragraph, logs. Now here you get a mark. You have identified the natural resource. Logs are natural resources classified as non-renewable because they cannot be replaced within human lifetime once extracted. They are composed of different minerals such as silica, calcium carbonate, metallic ores, iron, copper, and phosphates, etc. And we done with the first paragraph. Very simple like that. So what you need to do is not cramming. Instead, read the scenario, understand, identify the natural resource, which human activity is affecting it, and then you'll be able to build on your points very well. Let's look at the next paragraph. One major human activity threatening this resource is excessive quarrying and mining of logs. So during this process, huge amounts of dust containing silica particles are released into the air, leading to health problems like lung cancer and other respiratory diseases. This impact can be mitigated by enforcing safe mining practices and adopting modern technologies that reduce dust emissions during crushing and grinding. That is a very good paragraph and very good point. Now, importance of protecting our logs. Logs, however, are extremely important to society. They provide raw materials for cement and road constructions, which are crucial for industrial development. And you see, you get all your scores. Please, if you have any question, this marks the end of our KAMSSA Chemistry Paper 1. In our next upcoming video or tutorial, we shall be looking at Chemistry Paper 2 KAMSSA and other mock bodies. In the comment section, just type there which mock body do you want us to discuss about, or which topic would you like us to talk about. Just put it in the comment section and I'll be able to deliver to you all that you are requesting for in the comment section. Now, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. We said sharing is a key. For you have gotten this work, don't keep it to yourself. Share, discuss with your friends what you have learned so they can also be able to attain whatever you have also been able to attain. We have books on sale for both paper 1 and paper 2. For those who have not yet seen how those books look like, please make sure that you inbox. I'll be able to show you a copy, and then you grab yourself a copy as fast as possible so that you are able to get all this work in your book. You have it and you practice. You're a learner, you're a teacher. Please, you can buy for your learners, and then they can also excel. But also, it can be a very good guide for a teacher as we are teaching our learners. Otherwise, for those who have been part of us up to this level, thank you very much, and God bless.